What if everything we thought we knew about human history was wrong? For centuries, our timelines have been set in stone. We're taught that civilization began around 6,000 years ago, that our first cities were in Mesopotamia, that we emerged from the Stone Age and slowly, painstakingly learned to build. It's a story we all know. But what if the first chapter of humanity's story wasn't written on land at all? What if it's been hidden all along, swallowed by the waves and buried under the crushing weight of the ocean? New, groundbreaking deep-sea expeditions are revealing something astonishing. For the first time, using incredible technology, scientists are finding undeniable proof that advanced civilizations existed thousands of years before our history books say they should have. These aren't just a few scattered stones or simple ruins. These are entire cities, massive structures, perfectly aligned walls, and intricate carvings that defy geological explanation. We're not talking about a theory anymore. We're talking about direct concrete evidence, sonar scans that show impossible geometric shapes on the seafloor, and deep-sea footage that reveals what look like perfectly cut staircases and massive man-made platforms. This is a secret hidden for millennia, a secret that could completely rewrite the story of humanity. Prepare to have your mind blown, because we're about to dive into the deep to uncover history's greatest secrets. We've all heard the stories of Atlantis, of cities swallowed by the sea, but for a long time, these were just myths, tales whispered by poets and sailors. The scientific community largely dismissed them as fiction. But now, as we've seen, the stories are starting to line up with the evidence. And there's no better place to start our deep dive than at one of the most famous and most debated underwater sites in the world, the Bimini Road. Discovered in 1968, the Bimini Road isn't what you might expect from a lost city. It's not a grand temple or a palace. It's a perfectly straight, J-shaped formation of massive limestone blocks, spanning over half a mile just off the coast of North Bimini in the Bahamas. When divers first saw it, they were in disbelief. The blocks are large, often flat, and they sit in such a deliberate, orderly line that it's almost impossible to believe it's natural. For decades, the debate was fierce. Geologists argued that this was simply a natural phenomenon. They said the blocks were formed by beach rock, sand and coral fragments cemented together by natural processes, and that the straight lines were just the result of tectonic fracturing and erosion. It's a compelling argument, and one that held sway for a very long time. But recently, the advent of new technology has allowed us to look closer than ever before. New high-resolution sonar scans have given us a stunning new perspective. They show a regularity and precision that simply doesn't occur in nature. We've seen what appear to be interlocking pieces, almost like a puzzle designed to fit together. And new discoveries of what appears to be a binding agent, a kind of cement between the stones, further challenges the natural formation theory. More importantly, when archaeologists analyzed some of the blocks, they found that the stone itself was not native to the immediate area. It had to have been brought there, cut, and placed with incredible precision. The Bimini Road isn't just a pile of rocks. It may be the first, undeniable proof of a submerged, ancient structure. From the Bimini Road, we turn our attention to an even more astonishing sight, one that truly pushes the boundaries of imagination. Off the coast of Japan, near the island of Yonaguni, lies a monument so massive and so complex that it defies every conventional historical narrative. Discovered by a recreational diver in the mid-1980s, the Yonaguni Monument is a colossal, stepped pyramid-like structure made of sandstone. It's a monumental structure with wide terraces, perfectly straight edges, and sharp, right-angled corners. It's as if a master stonemason carved a mountain right out of the seafloor. Like Bimini, the initial reaction was skepticism. Scientists argued that the monument was simply a freak of nature, a result of fault lines and erosion sculpting the rock into these bizarrely geometric shapes. But then, researchers began to look closer. What they found was truly groundbreaking. They discovered what appeared to be carved reliefs of faces and animals. They found straight, man-made trenches on the sides of the structure. They found perfectly round holes, as if from a tool, and what looks to be a distinct staircase leading up the side of the monument. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence is the turtle rock, a giant carving that seems to have been carefully shaped and placed on one of the terraces. All of this points to one staggering conclusion. This was not created by geological forces. It was built with an incredible degree of skill and planning. The Yonaguni Monument isn't just a fascinating anomaly. It is, by all appearances, a colossal piece of architecture. And if it was indeed built by humans, it would have been constructed at a time when we were supposedly still in the hunter-gatherer phase of our development. It shatters our entire understanding of human progress and technological history. But what's truly remarkable is that Bimini and Yonaguni are not isolated incidents. They are just the most famous pieces of a much larger, global puzzle. Around the world, new expeditions are uncovering similar submerged structures, pushing the boundaries of what is possible. Take, for example, the submerged city off the coast of Cuba. Discovered by a Canadian team using advanced sonar, this site shows a large, planned complex of symmetrical, geometric structures lying a staggering 2,000 feet below the surface. The sonar images are clear, revealing pyramids and other structures that are so perfectly shaped they cannot possibly be natural. The immense depth of this site suggests it was submerged by a catastrophic, rapid event, a cataclysm, on a scale we can barely comprehend. Then there's the Gulf of Combat in India. During a marine survey in 2001, scientists found what their sonar described as a massive, ancient city complex stretching for miles. When they sent down dredges, they brought up pottery shards, beads, and even what appeared to be carved wood. The most controversial part? Carbon dating placed these artifacts at over 9,000 years old. This date would push back the timeline of civilization in India by thousands of years. These discoveries, from the puzzling Bimini Road to the mind-bending Yonaguni Monument, and from the deep-sea pyramids of Cuba to the ancient artifacts of India, are building an undeniable case. The myth of lost cities is no longer a myth. It's a reality. A reality that suggests we've been living with a massive blind spot, completely missing an entire chapter of our own history, hidden beneath the waves. And with every new dive, every new sonar scan, we're one step closer to uncovering the whole truth. We've seen the evidence. We've looked at the Bimini Road and the colossal Yonaguni Monument. But the real questions, the questions that keep scientists and historians up at night, aren't just about what these things are. The questions are how. How were they built, and what did they truly represent? To answer that, we have to become architectural detectives. We have to look past the seaweed and the rust and examine the genius of the stonemasons who created these impossible structures. Let's start with the most basic element, the stone itself. The Yonaguni Monument is a prime example. The material is a specific type of sandstone, but what's remarkable isn't the material. It's the precision with which it was cut. Look at the corners. They are almost perfect right angles. The terraces are flat and symmetrical. This isn't the work of natural erosion. Think about a rushing river carving a canyon. It creates smooth, flowing curves. It doesn't create sharp corners and flat surfaces that look like a staircase. Now, let's compare this to what we know. Think about the Incan masonry in places like Machu Picchu. The stones are huge, irregular, but they fit together so perfectly you can't even slide a knife blade between them. It's a marvel of ancient engineering. The Yonaguni Monument is a different kind of marvel. It's not about irregular fitting, it's about massive scale quarrying and incredibly precise cutting on a single, gigantic block of rock. The straight lines, the circular carvings, and the distinct V-shaped grooves that appear to be tool marks. These are the calling cards of intelligent design. They show a mastery of stonework that we associate with civilizations like the Egyptians or the Romans, but thousands of years before they were supposed to have existed. And what about the tools they used? We're talking about a time when humanity supposedly used rudimentary stone tools. But the precision we see at Yonaguni would require incredibly advanced cutting techniques. Were they using tools made of a material harder than anything we believe they possessed? Or did they have a technology we don't even know about yet? This is a giant, gaping hole in our historical record. It forces us to ask, what else don't we know about the earliest humans? But it goes beyond individual monuments. What we are seeing is not just a collection of random structures. We are seeing evidence of urban planning. Take the Bimini Road, for instance. For years we argued whether it was a natural breakwater or a man-made road. But what if it was something more? A ceremonial causeway leading to a temple? A part of a massive harbor wall designed to protect a coastal city? Its perfectly straight alignment, its deliberate curve, and its sheer size suggest a grand design, a purpose far beyond a simple path. It's a component of a larger blueprint. And if you want to see that blueprint in action, you have to look at the sonar images from the Cuban site. What they reveal is not just a pyramid or a wall. They show a clear layout of what appears to be an entire city. You can see what look like streets, intersections, and plazas. It's as if you're looking at a satellite image of a modern city, but thousands of feet below the ocean's surface. This suggests a highly organized society. A society that understood mathematics, engineering, and city planning on a grand scale. So what were these cities for? Were they bustling trade hubs, centers for a maritime culture that connected with land-based tribes? Were they sacred pilgrimage sites, with their architecture aligned to the stars, mirroring constellations that have long been forgotten? Or were they something else entirely? They could have been the hubs of a global empire, using maritime technology far more advanced than anything we've given them credit for. The structures themselves don't tell us their story, but their design tells us they had one. This brings us to the biggest challenge of all. Why have we found so little evidence of this level of architectural sophistication on land? The answer may be simple and devastating. These were most likely coastal civilizations. They thrived on the continental shelves that were exposed during the last ice age, when sea levels were dramatically lower. When the ice caps melted, a cataclysmic rise in sea levels submerged their entire world, leaving only the largest and most durable structures standing. Everything else, their homes, their tools, their artifacts, their entire material culture was either swept away or disintegrated under the harsh conditions of the deep sea. The ocean became the silent graveyard of their civilization. What we are looking at is not just an amazing find, it's a paradigm shift. It tells us that our ancestors were far more capable, far more innovative, and far more connected than we ever imagined. It suggests that while some of humanity was living in caves and hunting with stone spears, another, perhaps more advanced civilization was building massive cities and mastering the seas. We are looking at the last, surviving remnants of a lost world. A world that was swallowed by the waves, leaving behind a legacy of stone that challenges everything we know about our past. We've looked at the evidence. We've examined the unbelievable architectural precision, but it begs a critical question. Why are we only discovering these things now? For thousands of years, these secrets have been hidden, untouched, and unseen. The answer lies not in our history books, but in our technology. This isn't just about finding old ruins. It's about a revolution in deep-sea exploration that has given us the ability to see what was once completely invisible. It's the story of how cutting-edge science is giving us a window into a world we never knew existed. The first hero of this story is multi-beam sonar. Think of traditional sonar like a single, flickering flashlight in a vast, dark room. It sends out one pulse of sound and gives you a blurry, two-dimensional picture of the seafloor. It's slow and imprecise. But multi-beam sonar is a game changer. It's like turning on all the stadium lights at once. It sends out hundreds of focused sound pulses in a fan-shaped beam. When these pulses bounce off the ocean floor, they create a highly detailed three-dimensional map of everything in their path. For the first time, we can see the incredible geometric shapes of lost cities thousands of feet below the surface without ever sending a diver down. It was this technology that gave us the stunning first glimpse of the lost city off the coast of Cuba, revealing symmetrical, right-angled structures that simply could not be natural. Without multi-beam sonar, these sites would have remained nothing more than silent, undiscovered secrets at the bottom of the ocean. Once sonar gives us a target, we need a way to get a closer look, and that's where our robotic explorers come in. First, there are the ROVs, or remotely operated vehicles. Think of them as the ultimate underwater drones. They are our eyes and our hands in a world that would instantly crush a human being. Tethered to the research ship by a long cable, they are controlled in real time by a pilot who watches a live video feed. An ROV can use its powerful lights to pierce the perpetual darkness and its robotic arm to collect samples of stone, sediment, and any artifacts it finds. It was an ROV that gave us the stunning up-close footage of the Yonaguni Monument, allowing us to see the precise carvings and straight lines that prove its artificial origin. But to survey vast uncharted areas, we now use AUVs, or autonomous underwater vehicles. Unlike ROVs, AUVs are completely independent. They are pre-programmed with a mission and sent off on their own, navigating a vast grid across the seafloor for hours or even days at a time. They can carry sonar equipment, cameras, and other sensors, systematically mapping every square foot of an area with a detail that was once unimaginable. This partnership between autonomous scout and remote-controlled inspection is what makes these discoveries possible. The AUVs do the tedious work of finding potential anomalies, and then the ROVs are deployed for the detailed close-up inspection. And the technology doesn't stop when the robots return to the surface. The real revolution happens on the research vessel itself, where all the data is fed into powerful computers. Here, scientists use specialized 3D modeling software to stitch together the thousands of sonar pings and video frames, creating a photorealistic, virtual model of the underwater sites. They can literally fly through the submerged cities on a computer screen from the comfort of their lab. This fusion of ancient mystery and modern technology is not just helping us find things, it is actively helping us rewrite history. It's telling us that our ancestors were far more capable than we ever imagined. The past and the future are colliding beneath the waves, and we are just now beginning to see the incredible story that unfolds as a result. So, we have the finds. We know how sophisticated they are, and we understand the technology that made their discovery possible. But there is one final and perhaps most important piece of the puzzle to solve. The question that changes everything. When? When were these massive cities built? And what cataclysm could have swallowed them whole, leaving them hidden for millennia? The answer lies in the greatest climate event of the last 20,000 years. To understand the Deluge, we have to go back in time to the last ice age. Around 18,000 years ago, the world looked completely different. Vast ice sheets, some over a mile thick, covered much of North America, Europe, and Asia. All that water had to come from somewhere, and it was locked up in the glaciers. As a result, global sea levels were dramatically lower, about 400 feet, 120 meters, lower than they are today. This massive drop in sea level exposed huge areas of land. What we now call the continental shelves were once fertile plains, coastlines, and river valleys. These would have been ideal places for early human populations to live, with access to both land-based resources and the rich bounty of the sea. They were the perfect locations for coastal civilizations to thrive. But then, the world began to warm. The Ice Age ended. Starting around 15,000 years ago and continuing for the next several thousand years, the ice sheets began to melt at an astonishing rate. And all that water had to go somewhere. We're not talking about a slow, gentle rise. There is geological evidence of periods where sea levels rose by several feet per century. Imagine what that would have been like. The coastline moving inward, a slow, inevitable march of water that would have consumed entire cities and forced a mass migration of people. The ocean didn't just rise, it swallowed an entire world. This scientific explanation perfectly accounts for the submersion of these sites. The Bimini Road, the Yonaguni Monument, and the ancient city in the Gulf of Combat were once located on land, thriving on what were then exposed coastlines. They weren't built underwater. They were submerged by a geological catastrophe on a global scale. Now, we come to the most controversial part of the story, the dating. If these sites were submerged by the post-Ice Age sea level rise, it would make them incredibly old. And the evidence backs this up. But these dates challenge everything we thought we knew, and they are met with fierce skepticism from the mainstream academic community. The primary method used for dating organic material is radiocarbon dating. It works by measuring the decay of carbon-14 in things that were once alive, like wood or plants. In the Gulf of Combat, for example, marine archaeologists recovered pieces of carved wood and pottery from the submerged city. When they sent these artifacts to the lab, the results were mind-boggling. The carbon dating placed the site at approximately 9,500 years old. This is a date that simply doesn't fit our current historical timeline. According to conventional history, that was a time when humanity was still in the Mesolithic, or Middle Stone Age. We were hunter-gatherers, living in small tribes. The idea of a massive, urbanized civilization building sophisticated stone cities at that time is, for many, impossible. This is why the dates are so fiercely debated. Skeptics argue that the samples could have been contaminated. They say that dating objects that have been in a saltwater environment for thousands of years is unreliable. These are valid questions, and they need to be answered through more research and new dating techniques. But the evidence isn't limited to carbon dating alone. Geological analysis of the sediment layers around the structures confirms their ancient age, placing their construction and subsequent submersion far back in prehistory. So let's lay it out. Let's look at two competing timelines. On one side, we have the accepted timeline of human history. We are taught that the first complex societies with agriculture, writing, and cities emerged in Mesopotamia around 6,000 years ago. This is where civilization began. It's the foundation of everything we know. On the other side, we have the new evidence. We have artifacts from the Gulf of Combat, dated to over 9,000 years ago. We have the Yonaguni Monument, which geologists estimate was submerged around 10,000 years ago, and the Bimini Road, which some studies now place in the same ancient era. This is a direct, undeniable challenge to the established timeline. It doesn't just add a new chapter to our history. It suggests we've been missing the first book entirely. It means that while our ancestors in other parts of the world were learning to farm and build with mud bricks, there may have been a powerful, technologically advanced civilization that was already 1,000 years old, with its own language, its own culture, and its own monuments. The Deluge didn't just sink these cities, it also wiped them from our collective memory. It hit the reset button on human history. And now, thanks to science and technology, we are just starting to read the lost pages of our past. What we have seen today is not the end of a story. It's the beginning. The discoveries we've explored, from the Bimini Road to the Yonaguni Monument, are just the first threads of a much larger, more complex tapestry of human history that has been hidden for millennia. The oceans are vast, and 95% of them remain unexplored. Our technology is advancing at an exponential rate, giving us the power to see deeper, to map more accurately, and to analyze data with a precision that was once unimaginable. Every day, new expeditions are being launched, new sonar scans are being conducted, and new secrets are being uncovered. The quest to find humanity's hidden past is not a historical project. It's an ongoing, active mission. This is a story that belongs to all of us. It is a reminder that we must stay curious, keep an open mind, and never stop questioning what we think we know. The greatest mysteries are often hidden in plain sight, and sometimes to find the truth about ourselves, we have to look in the most unexpected places. Join us on this journey. Subscribe to our channel, share your thoughts in the comments, and stay tuned as we continue to explore the uncharted depths of our planet, and in doing so, uncover the lost chapters of our own story. Thank you for watching.